For weeks, it was nothing more than a murmur, a faint statistical twitch at the rim of the solar system, so weak that survey software flagged it as noise not once, but 6 times. At first, no human even saw it. It was buried inside routine data collected by automated telescopes scanning the Kuiper fringe. Just another blip. Just another ghost in the machine. Except this ghost refused to die. Every time the algorithm ran its filters, the signal returned. Same location, same faint motion, same anomalous signature. Objects that far out typically blur into irrelevance. Cold rocks, distant comets, inert ice. Their signals fade as quickly as they appear, but this one grew clearer, sharper, brighter. By the 3rd week, the anomaly wasn't fading into darkness. It was stepping out of it. The first astronomer to manually review the data was Dr. Ilara Singh from the Cerro Tololo Observatory. She paused when she saw the motion plots. A long, slow drift that didn't match any catalog entry. The object wasn't wandering, it was approaching. Its inbound path was too precise, its acceleration too controlled. When she ran the numbers again, the result chilled her. This wasn't a small fragment. This wasn't a stray, dirty snowball. This thing was huge. Alarmed, she forwarded the data to 2 partner observatories. Within 48 hours, 3 independent teams confirmed the same impossible detail. The object's brightness curve suggested a body between 60 and 140 kilometers wide, up to 100 times the size of 3 I/ATLAS. That alone was historic. No interstellar object this large had ever been detected entering the solar system. But the second discovery was worse. Trajectory modeling revealed the object was not just entering the inner system. It was threading itself onto a path that would intersect the corridor 3I/ATLAS was traveling through. Not near it, not adjacent to it, directly through it. A 100 times larger interstellar body, heading straight toward the same region of space as Atlas. Not random, not chaotic, impossible. Yet there it was. And with that realization, every observatory from Chile to Hawaii to Australia switched from curiosity to full alert. Something enormous was coming, and it wasn't drifting. It was arriving. The moment brightness calibration confirmed the object's scale, disbelief swept through the scientific world. Interstellar objects aren't supposed to be big. The largest ever discovered, 2 I/Borisov, was barely a kilometer across. Even Oumuamua was only about 100 meters long. They're tiny shards, fragments broken off ancient planetary systems, not hulking giants drifting between the stars. Yet here was something so large, its luminosity resembled that of a moon. At first, the size estimate seemed like a calculation error. Maybe the object had an unusually high reflectivity. Maybe its surface was made of shiny volatiles. Maybe the telescope's sensor was misaligned. But as more instruments locked onto it, the truth hardened. This behemoth wasn't reflective. It wasn't glittering with ice. It was dark, charcoal black, absorbing nearly all sunlight that touched its surface, which meant the brightness readings weren't exaggerating its size. They were underestimating it. A dark object that big should have been detected long before it crossed into the heliosphere. Yet it slipped through the boundaries of the solar system like a phantom. Only when it reflected the smallest sliver of sunlight did anyone notice it was there at all. Its speed made things even stranger. Interstellar bodies typically barrel into the solar system at extreme velocities, 50,000 to 200,000 miles per hour, accelerated by gravitational tides and ancient trajectory arcs. But this one drifted inward, slowly, suspiciously slowly, almost too slowly. Its inbound velocity was just 18 kilometers per second, far below what models predict for an object of its mass entering a star's gravity well. Some theorists speculated that it must have passed through dense dust fields that stole momentum. Others suggested magnetic braking from interstellar plasma streams. But the most whispered theory was the most unsettling. It slowed down on purpose. No one dared to publish that interpretation. Not yet. But inside private Slack channels and encrypted research groups, astronomers admitted what they feared. This was not acting like a natural object. This was behaving like something with intention. The giant was still days from the inner system, yet already it had shattered every assumption about interstellar objects, and its trajectory was tightening, straight toward 3I/ATLAS. At first, researchers thought it was a coincidence, celestial chance. After all, space is vast. Even with billions of wandering objects, 2 interstellar travelers crossing paths inside one solar system should be statistically impossible. But with each new observation, the coincidence unraveled. The giant object was not merely passing near the path of 3I/ATLAS. It was locking onto it. Trajectory simulations run by JPL, ESA, and the Pan-STARRS team all showed the same chilling result. The newcomer's path was converging with Atlas's corridor to within a margin of just 0.03 astronomical units, a razor-thin distance on astronomical scales. The solar system had become the stage for a meeting billions of years in the making. No random object wanders into such precision. No leftover debris falls into alignment with another interstellar traveler. Unless they share an origin. Scientists began re-evaluating every possibility. Theory 1, sibling fragments. Perhaps both objects were shards of a world shattered long ago, pieces hurled across the galaxy until fate drew them together again. Theory 2, binary travelers. Maybe the two had once orbited each other as part of a binary system, separated only by stellar tides or gravitational slingshots. Theory 3, shared catastrophe. A supernova could have flung both objects outward on parallel trajectories, their paths diverging slowly over eons until the solar system's gravity reunited them. Theory 4, the one no one wanted to acknowledge. The alignment was not natural at all, because the giant object wasn't just heading toward the same region, its trajectory was adjusting. Minute but measurable course corrections showed up in 2 data sets, not enough to scream propulsion, but enough to indicate its path was not purely ballistic, not fully dictated by gravity. Something was guiding it. Atlas, for its part, continued tumbling unpredictably as always, but even its minor trajectory shifts seemed to resonate with the newcomer's approach. The two bodies were being drawn together by more than gravity, something ancient, something shared, something unknown. And as observatories realized the alignment was deliberate or impossibly precise, they knew the solar system was about to witness an encounter with no precedent in human history. The first close-range measurement stunned everyone. This wasn't the jagged, chaotic silhouette of a comet or the rugged outline of an asteroid. The new object drifted through space like a monolith, smooth in some places, sharply contoured in others, wrapped in a charcoal gray skin that swallowed almost every photon that touched it. From a distance, it appeared nearly invisible, like a void carved into the star field. Only when sunlight struck it at a grazing angle did its true form begin to reveal itself. Spectral analysis showed an albedo so low it rivaled the darkest known asteroids, bodies coated with carbon-rich compounds built over billions of years. But this surface wasn't natural soot or cosmic dust. Scattered across its exterior were patches that reflected more brightly, irregular shapes that glinted like exposed metal or fused stone. These patches didn't fit neatly into any model of natural space weathering. They weren't symmetrical, they weren't patterned, and they weren't random either. Something had altered the surface in ways scientists couldn't classify. Then came the rotation data, or rather, the lack of it. Most large bodies spin, slowly, violently, predictably, unpredictably, but they spin. Micrometeor impacts, ancient collisions, tidal interactions, everything in the universe leaves a rotational fingerprint. But this object moved with an eerie stillness. A slow, barely measurable rotation, almost like it was resisting the torque of the solar wind, almost like it was dampened internally. Some argued it was simply ancient, a relic so old its spin had bled away over eons. Others whispered a more uncomfortable possibility, that something inside it was suppressing rotation, holding it steady like a gyroscope locked in place. Compared to 3I/ATLAS, which tumbled through space with frenetic chaos, this newcomer was serene, composed, unchanging. It drifted like a vessel conserving energy, like a world that had long since stopped fighting the universe and learned to move quietly through it. Even the temperature readings made little sense. The object absorbed nearly all light, yet radiated almost none. It behaved thermally like a hollow shell, or something insulated. The deeper astronomers looked, the stranger it became. Whatever was coming toward ATLAS was not just big, it was complex. And its secrets were only beginning to surface. By the time the measurements were shared across research networks, the scientific community had entered a frenzy. Every group had a theory. Every theory carried its own thread of uncertainty. The mainstream explanations came first, safe and familiar. Some said the object was a rogue moon, torn away from a wandering exoplanet and set adrift through the galaxy. Others argued it could be the fractured remnant of a once molten core, the heart of a lost world that had cooled and darkened over billions of years. Still others believed it might be debris from a supernova, material forged in a dying star's final breath, now wandering through space as cosmic shrapnel. But none of those ideas could explain the alignment with ATLAS. None accounted for the near-zero rotation. None solved the reflectivity anomalies or the unusual mass distribution. So the more daring theories, quiet at first, whispered only in private Slack channels and encrypted research chats, began to surface. What if the object was hollow? A naturally formed shell battered by cosmic radiation until only its outer crust survived. That would explain the thermal irregularities and the strange scattering of infrared light. Others wondered if it was encased in a protective mantle, a hardened rind formed through slow chemical transformation in deep space. And then there were the theories no one wanted to put their names on. What if the object wasn't just drifting? What if it had been guided? What if something, whether natural, biological, mechanical, or unknown, had slowed it, positioned it, aimed it toward Atlas? These weren't claims of alien spacecraft or artificial design. They were questions born from inconsistencies. When an object behaves unlike anything found in billions of years of observation, the mind begins to probe uncomfortable corners. It wasn't just that the newcomer was big. It wasn't just that it was dark. It was that its movement felt intentional, its path too precise, its timing too perfect. It behaved like something with history, shared history with ATLAS, echoes of a story written far beyond the reach of human understanding. Whether natural or engineered or something in between, this object was a messenger from another age, and it was arriving with purpose. As simulations tightened and the numbers solidified, excitement transformed into a reverent kind of awe. Two interstellar travelers, one small and volatile, the other massive and quiet, were about to pass close enough to feel each other's presence. Not metaphorically, literally. Their gravitational fields would overlap, their dust streams would mingle, their histories, carried in the minerals and isotopes of their bodies, would interact in ways no scientist had ever witnessed. No human civilization had recorded an event like this. Nothing in astronomy textbooks prepared anyone for the convergence of two ancient wanderers inside our solar system. The predictions grew more dramatic by the hour. Some models suggested the newcomer's vast gravitational field might peel away layers of dust from ATLAS, exposing pristine interior material untouched since its birth. Other simulations showed the possibility of micro-outgassing events, tiny jets erupting as Atlas's internal pressures reacted to shifting gravitational tides. A few even proposed that the encounter might alter ATLAS's trajectory, just enough to extend its stay within observational range, granting humanity months of additional study. The solar system had unwittingly become a stage for a cosmic reunion. Even spacecraft registered the newcomer's influence. Solar wind patterns distorted in unusual ways as the dark giant moved inward, creating ionized wakes detectable by distant orbiters. Atlas, still spinning chaotically, seemed to dance ever so slightly in response, its orientation shifting, its thermal map changing, like a small body reacting to the approach of a much older sibling. The closeness of the encounter, safe for planets but staggering for science, stirred the imagination of millions. News channels broadcast 3D renderings. Universities hosted late-night observation sessions. Children pointed telescopes into skies where neither object was visible, but their minds understood the magnitude of the moment. This wasn't a collision. It wasn't a threat. It was something far rarer. A silent meeting between two ancient travelers on a timeline so vast it made human existence feel like a spark in the dark. The universe was about to reveal something. Not destruction, not chaos. A conversation written in gravity and motion, spoken across billions of years, was about to take place above our heads, and humanity had front-row seats. The deeper scientists dug into the newcomer's trajectory, the more unsettling the pattern became. At first, the giant object's path seemed like a bizarre anomaly, an isolated deviation, an outlier in the cosmic database. But when teams began running historical models, tracing the paths of Oumuamua, Borisov, Atlas, and now this colossal dark traveler, something extraordinary emerged. They weren't random. They weren't isolated. They were aligned. 4 interstellar visitors spanning different years, entering the solar system along a narrow, invisible ribbon carved through the galaxy. A galactic corridor, an ancient stream of debris and fragments shaped by forces no one fully understood. The idea was radical, but the math didn't lie. Their trajectories, when projected backward across hundreds of thousands of years, began to converge on a region about 30 light-years away, a region filled with remnants of an old star cluster that once contained dozens of suns. Suddenly, the appearance of the 100 times giant didn't feel accidental at all. It felt inevitable. Maybe the solar system had drifted into a debris stream older than Earth itself. Maybe these objects had been traveling together, not as companions, but as passengers carried by the same interstellar current. These streams can form when star clusters dissolve, when gravity weakens, when ancient worlds are ripped apart, flinging pieces into the dark like seeds scattered by the wind. If that was true, then more visitors were coming. The implications hit like a shockwave. Humanity had spent generations believing interstellar objects were rare, cosmic flukes that only appear once every few centuries. But what if the solar system was moving through a dense ribbon of galactic history? What if the next decade held dozens of arrivals, small, large, unknown? The newcomer's immense size suddenly made sense. Streams don't carry fragments of just one kind. They transport everything: shards of lost planets, broken moons, metallic cores, icy shells, and objects no one can categorize. But the most haunting realization was this: if this was a stream, then the 100X object and Atlas might not be meeting for the first time. They might have been traveling through the galaxy together for millions of years, two relics of a story humanity was only now beginning to read. And their reunion was happening right here in our sky. As the object moved closer, high-resolution imaging sharpened its silhouette until its surface appeared almost tactile, like you could reach out and run your hand along the scars of its ancient journey. What had once seemed like a featureless charcoal black mass now revealed faint patterns running across its surface, long, sweeping bands curving gently around its form. These weren't random streaks, they weren't impact lines, they looked structural. Natural objects rarely form such smooth, continuous arcs, unless intense forces have shaped them. The most accepted theory was that the object had once been part of something much larger. Perhaps the mantle of a planet that had been torn apart, its internal layers exposed, frozen, and preserved through the abyss of interstellar space. The bands might be remnants of that layering, geological ghosts etched into its skin. But the strangest discoveries came from infrared imaging. Thermal scans showed pockets, hollow cavities beneath the surface. Not cracks, not fractures, chambers. Some large, some small, arranged in patterns that defied easy explanation. In natural worlds, voids form chaotically, yet these voids were arranged almost rhythmically, as if the object had once undergone internal processes that shaped it from within. Even stranger was how heat flowed through those regions. It didn't disperse randomly. Instead, thermal gradients curled in gentle spirals, like heat following the grooves of an internal lattice. It was the kind of distribution you'd expect from something that once had molten layers, or from a structure that had been engineered to channel energy. As sunlight struck the object, those thermal spirals glowed briefly, revealing textures invisible to the naked eye. Ridges aligned with the spirals, faint but unmistakable. Something inside this giant had shaped its body in ways ordinary cosmic debris never experiences. Not asteroids, not comets, not planetary fragments. It was as if the object remembered something, some ancient stress, some forgotten event, some internal transformation that left scars and patterns across its entire being. Whatever this thing was, it was not a simple relic of cosmic randomness. It was a body with history, layered, structured, shaped, a survivor of something enormous. And the closer it came to ATLAS, the more those layers whispered of a story waiting to be uncovered. The object's approach didn't just warp models, it warped the environment around it. Before the human eye could see details, before telescopes could pull surface features into focus, the solar wind felt the newcomer first. Charged particles flowing from the sun began to bend around it in patterns that made no sense. Instead of forming a typical bow shock, the solar wind formed a stretched magnetic shadow behind the giant, a wake that shimmered with fluctuations, like ripples trailing behind a ship in dark water. Instruments aboard the Parker Solar Probe detected distortions in particle flow that didn't match any known profile of natural objects. Something inside the newcomer was interacting with the solar wind, subtly, yet undeniably. Not with an active magnetic field, but with a memory of one. Certain minerals, especially iron-bearing silicates, retain magnetic signatures from the environment in which they formed. These magnetic echoes can survive billions of years, and this object carried them in abundance. When hit by the solar wind, those echoes reawakened, faintly pulsing like a heart that hadn't beaten in ages. It was like watching a fossil respond to sunlight. The magnetic map built from these particle interactions suggested something incredible. The object had once existed in a region of space far more magnetically intense than the solar system, perhaps near a massive young star, perhaps inside a dense proto-stellar cluster, or perhaps near the aftermath of a supernova, where magnetic fields twist violently as stellar remnants collapse. Every discovery added a new layer of strangeness. The object wasn't just a piece of rock. It was a time capsule from a part of the galaxy we could barely imagine. Its mineral composition aligned with environments rich in heavy elements, places where stars lived violently and died spectacularly. And then came the most chilling observation. As the giant object entered regions of denser solar wind, faint auroral glows rippled across its surface, ghostly lights too dim for the naked eye, but unmistakable in ultraviolet scans. The object lit up like a dying world remembering what it once was. It wasn't alive, but it wasn't dead either. It was a relic carrying the magnetic scars of a star long gone. And now, it was awakening inside our solar system. The countdown to closest approach unfolded with a tension no simulation could capture. For days, the two interstellar wanderers had been inching closer, their gravitational fields stretching toward one another like invisible fingers. Telescopes across Earth, in orbit, and on the far side of the moon, locked onto their positions with relentless precision. Every frame, every pixel tightened the sense that something extraordinary was about to happen. Then, at 3:12 UTC, the distance between them reached its minimum. They didn't collide. They didn't even brush against one another. Instead, the massive newcomer slipped past 3 I/ATLAS in a silent, breathtaking glide, so close that tidal forces momentarily intertwined their motions. Atlas, small and frenetic, shuddered with a brief tremor, its spin altering as if acknowledging the presence of something immeasurably older and infinitely heavier. Dust plumes burst from its surface, not in chaotic jets, but in graceful arcs that revealed fresh interior layers to distant instruments. The giant object reacted too. Its charcoal skin absorbed the encounter with an eerie calm, but subtle waves pulsed across its thermal spirals, as though the ancient relic were responding to the passing whisper of its smaller counterpart. Solar wind around them twisted, bending in patterns that resembled two shadows merging before parting again. For 40 the universe held its breath. Two travelers, born in star systems unknown, shaped by catastrophes unseen, moved alongside each other in a dance billions of years in the making. And then, just as quickly, they drifted apart, their paths diverging once more, each continuing its lonely journey through the galaxy. But the encounter left marks on their trajectories, on their surfaces, and on humanity's understanding of the cosmos. It was more than a near pass. It was a cosmic dialogue, a moment where two fragments of forgotten worlds crossed paths inside our sky, offering a glimpse of a history written long before Earth even existed. The universe had opened a door for less than a minute, and in that minute, everything changed.